Tom van Esbroek bringing it in. At the moment, some very late runs which have been impressive. Sepp van Mark. But Josh Sutherland, for me, of Movistar, has just been outstanding. We're speculating as to how Peter Sagan will go. Now, I can tell you it's brightening. The rain is still coming down, but the wind has eased because we've been from a southeasterly, we've swung round to a southwester, which brought in the rain, and it's now a northwester. So the wind has dropped, and it may well be that we start to see some times pick up, and this could be in the favour of Peter Sagan a little bit later on. Boy van Poppel has got himself off and underway. Dylan Groenewegen, the powerhouse that is of Team Lotto Jumbo, will be off the ramp next. Then it's Mark McNally with Magnus Cort Nielsen, Elmar Reinders, Phil Bauhaus, De Vries from yesterday's break, who did so well to get himself some bonus seconds, which is why he's starting so late. And of course Peter Sagan finally. Sagan goes off in about 13 minutes time. So I suspect we might, even though the damp conditions here, have some fireworks late on. Tim Merlier coming in. Good lad, but not a good time, I'm afraid, here on a very grisly day in Voorburg. One thing that's amazed me, Brian, is the enthusiasm of the crowd. Everyone's properly kitted out for this Dutch summer.
Yeah, the cafes will be busy because most of the race will be on in the local cafes and things like that. But yeah, there's still a lot of people like to see some of these cycling stars live. You know, it's only probably, you know, a couple of times a year they get the opportunities in this area to see some world-class bike riders. And yeah, they support it. You know, you've got to remember that still in Europe, in this part of the world, cycling is, you know, up there in the top 3 sports. Indeed, and in fact, when you get to Belgium, it's hard to think of anything that will beat cycling in terms of its draw. Nonetheless, Jesper de Boist deep in his run, and this is Dylan Groenewegen. I think he'll be worried about the first few corners, if you can remember Dusseldorf. Yes, it wasn't an auspicious start. In fact, we thought that had knocked out his credentials for the sprints, but he slowly but surely built himself up to what a crescendo when he won up the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Yeah, I think he could thrown away all the other opportunities he had when he won in the Champs-Élysées. That's the biggest you can get as a sprinter. That's the biggest stage you can win, and some people wait for years to do it, and he's done it in his second ever year. Yeah, quite remarkable. Well, we'll see how he goes on the course today, but you saw he's got a lot of power there. He's delivering it right now. Others, I'm afraid, like Arnaud Demar, are on a bit of a jolly today, if you possibly could. Look at that time. He's going to be nudging up towards the 13-minute mark. Is this a man who really fed up from yesterday after he lost the line of his sprint train? He'll be leaving it to tomorrow to try and make amends, but there we are, stopping the clock at 12:49. In fact, is that the slowest time we've had so far? It looks like it could be, but he was riding as fast as he was after the line as he was before. Well, nice wee smile there. There it is. Get back to the bus quicker. He's riding across the line there about as fast as he finished yesterday after he'd thrown his hands up with a abu to the heavens. There we go. Jesper de Boist, likewise, it's an equally, I'm afraid, modest time today. And for those of you who stuck with us throughout this time trial, give yourself a pat on the back. Joan Kimmel says, so loving your commentary. Hated not having you on the Tour de France. I was here, Joan. I was there. You probably just tuned in at the wrong time. Yeah, big team, but I'll be with you, Joan, for the maybe she means the Giro, I don't know. I was playing somewhere else that day during that event. But yes, I'll be back for the Vuelta with Sean Kelly. Looking forward to it. Van Groenewegen then. What a superstar. As they say with sports cars, if it looks fast, it probably is fast, and that's the case with Groenewegen. We made a lot of this man, Edward Planckaert. In fact, we were looking at him and ignoring the likes of Greipel, etc. Not quite sure why, but anyway, there we are. He's probably local. Yeah, I think it's the spacing out of the other riders that are starting at this time. They've only got so many cameras, so they can only follow so many riders.
Well, I'm glad you've used that as an excuse, Brian, but yeah, I think it's because basically he's a local boy. But anyway, here we are. Out, somebody's looking it up now. Groenewegen still doing his thing. And here we are, Mr. Happy. Andre Greipel, 60th place. Just get this out of the way, Andre, and then try and hold on to your sprint train tomorrow. He's had a few knockbacks in his career, Greipel, but he always bounces back, and I expect him to see him go well in the next couple of days. Yeah,
he's won in this race before. He's won in Ardoué, so yeah, he's experienced enough rider. You know, he's up against a few sprinters that, in his own words, are you know, just kind of hard to beat now. But he'll be there and thereabouts. He's not going anywhere soon. No, as you can see, just touching the power meter. I don't know what readings he's going to get. It probably just says wet. Groenewegen busy. Mark McNally is already off and underway. Jonas Rickert, this was the man that they were focusing on. They expected him to go well. It's not a bad time, actually, to be fair, for the youngster. And it's nice to see that the local TV crews are supporting the local teams. Yeah, exactly. The Belgian team here in Holland. It's Sport Vlaanderen, the only team in professional cycling from Flanders. Secret to the name. Magnus Cort Nielsen got a good finish yesterday. Off and underway. The Danes go well in when it's inclement. And in fact, Soren Kragh Andersen is fourth quickest, so they could be keeping it in the family, as it were. His family, mainly from down under, and the motorbike camera. All credit to them, by the way. It's been impeccably well covered, this. They're used to it and used to these kind of conditions. I guess that's in the favour of the technical crew. Yes, they are. A lot of Europe are getting very hot weather. Unfortunately for Holland and Belgium, they're getting some thunderstorms, but very hot, I believe, in many parts of southern Europe. Well, we're talking over 40 Celsius in places, and to be honest, that's a bit too hot for me. When we, I'm still carrying my sun scorch from the Tour de France, by the way, which is basically just a red head. I'm not a redhead, I've just got a red head. Brian, don't laugh too much. You've got those operation marks. No, that's a button I press just to laugh. It's not my natural one. I've got a button I can press just to laugh, just to make you feel better. Just to acknowledge it. Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, appreciate that. This is Groenewegen just coming to the end of his run round that sketchy corner. Nothing to do with Volvo, by the way. Sure have upset some people over there, but there we are. So just waiting for Peter Sagan, frankly, to de-ramp. He'll be coming off the ramp in a few moments' time. I was hoping that we were going to see Paul Bauhaus. In fact, I think we might, after we've seen Omar Reinders. Does it mean pigskin? I don't know. I thought they only used them at Christmas. I see what you did there, Brian. I like that one. I wish I'd thought of it. Anyway, Mr. Reinders is about to get underway. As scratchings to you and me. Gosh, did you see the kick-up on the ramp there? I think it's a carpet. And I actually saw rather like a squeegee as he came off the ramp there. He was clearing water from the ramp. It was like a little fountain either side of his wheel as he came off. Well, clearly it does the grippy job. I thought it was vinyl, but it's not. It's a carpet, and quite right too. Up to one of these traditional counterweighted bridges. That's for when you need to bring your sailboat up the canals, Brian. I don't have one, so I wouldn't know that. I know. I don't mind about that anyway. You just stick to your helicopter. Meanwhile, out on course, Magnus Cort Nielsen doing his thing as we wait for Phil Bauhaus to get underway, another young German that's been hugely impressive of late. Yes, oh, he's given up everything now. He's just sitting there. He's getting close to it. Yeah, they're cheering him up by going back to him. They haven't given him anything to play with. He's read a book. Yeah. He's warmed down. He's changed clothes. He's had his cake. He's played a video game, and now he just wants to go home. Looks like he will have his cake and eat it, because I can't see anybody going as fast as him. Well, he set off, to be fair to him, what, 3 hours ago? So he's been there for quite some time. Everybody else is back in their hotel room, relaxing.
Yeah, and he's basically got to go to the podium. He'll have to be back in his team colours and take his coat off, I imagine. Here's Groenewegen then, just to complete the duty, which is what it's become, hasn't it, for the late runners?
Yeah, I don't think for Groenewegen it's important that he takes any chances. A couple of sprint opportunities coming up over the next couple of days.
Here's Phil Bauhaus. Well, check that out for a groovy livery. This is the man who's nursing one of our funky jerseys here today. It is the points jersey that belongs actually to Peter Sagan, but it looks like a sort of a how can I describe it? Well, let's watch Rick. Well, we'll watch Rick Zabel come in, but it's of no great shakes. 12 minutes and 13 seconds. Yeah, it looks like a
blue jersey.
No, I was going to say something from pop art, actually, but there you go. But yes, it is the blue jersey that actually belongs to Peter Sagan. He'll be in the green jersey a little bit later.
Die hebben morgen thuiswedstrijd. Dan kijken naar de Boy van Poppel, ex-wereldkampioen bij de junioren veldrijden. Boy van Poppel van Trek Segafredo gaat hier komen. Boy van Poppel. Knappe tijd hoor, knappe tijd. 11:33.
Met die applaus de start van Lars de Vreese. De voorlaatste. Dan hebben we er nog eentje, dames en heren. De man die normalerwijs in de regenboogtrui rijdt. Nu leider is in de BinckBank Tour. Moet gestapt hebben. Maar dat doet hij met de meesters hier in de Leidersstraat van deze BinckBank Tour. Ritwinnaar gisteren in de wedstrijd. Voorburg, laat die horen voor Peter Sagan.
Die lopen de meeste die voorop is er maar 1 seconde achterstand.
Vorig jaar won hij 2 etappes en werd hij derde in de eindafrekening. Wat wordt het deze week? De eerste etappewinst heeft hij alvast mee. Ook hij moet het in de regen doen. De regen van Voorburg. 9 kilometer af te werken. Race tegen de klok. En gaat er binnen een goede minuut zowat aan beginnen. Dan mag Voorburg zich opnieuw luidkeels laten horen.
Zijn in afwachting.
The new Lexus.
Ik hoor al de klapper, ik hoor al kabaal, ik hoor u
Silver as easy.
al kabaal, ik hoor u al bezig, dames en heren. Dat gaat zo meteen nog wat qua volume de hoogte in mogen. Opkronen, houd hem nog eventjes in koop.
Kijk hier in de groene trui van Bink.
Welcome everybody. Peter Sagan is about to get underway. Now, you can see by his demeanour he's going to go for this. And that's because Sepp van Mark, he doesn't want him eating into the time gap that he's already posted, courtesy of his 10-second margin yesterday. That was the bonus at the line when he won the sprint. It was chaotic then, and this is likely to be in a very different way. He's a great bike handler, Brian. It bodes well for a strong run, and he's going to have to get one. He needs to be within about 20 seconds of the best time, and then he really will have taken control of this race.
Yeah, I think he just, first and foremost, he had the stage win yesterday. Today is staying upright and doing the best time possible. He's thinking more of the overall, because when we think of the leading time at the moment, and we can remind everybody of that leading time of Stefan Kung, it's 10 minutes and 58 seconds at an average 49.2 kilometers an hour. I don't think that will be beaten today, but do I really think that Peter Sagan can get within 10 seconds of it? I'm not too sure in these conditions.
No, I don't think he'll still be the leader at the end of today, but frankly, the way he is riding, anything is possible. Brian, every single one of these corners, he's trimming beautifully at the moment, and he is hyper-motivated.
Yeah, he would be. He's in the leader's jersey. I think, you know, smarting a little bit. You can see the way he was riding in Poland about his disqualification from the Tour de France. He's come back with a bit of vengeance and rode really well in the Tour of Poland. He's come here. He wants to win this race. The parkour suit him, and he's certainly going to give it a good go today. Yeah,
it's a great race, this. It's an amalgamation of those of you who missed out yesterday. The explanation, they've basically drawn together some of the great classic races, such as the Gold Race, the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Flanders. They make up the last 3 stages of this race. Sprinters in advance of that, and of course you have this time trial as well. Mark McNally, strong rider, but today is not his strength, and I think that's proving itself right now. He's going to be outside of the top 100. But safely completed, and it was a good finish yesterday by the rider from Wanty Group Gobert, and I'm expecting him to go well again tomorrow. We expect Peter Sagan to be in defensive mode, not necessarily to win the time trial today, although he'll give it a good go, but to impose himself upon this race. He will, of course, go brilliantly as this race draws to a conclusion, but also, oh, look at that, a double bunny hop. So not just going up and onto the top of some street furniture, but vaulting it entirely. We're going to see that move again. I'm hoping we get a slow-mo. He is on a mission, Brian.
Yeah, just trying everything to get the fastest out these conditions. Very difficult for the late starters here in the time trial, the second day here in the BinckBank Tour, but Peter Sagan, if he can sprint well over the next couple of days, maybe take some more bonus seconds, limit his losses today, and then go into the final 3 stages, which are fairly hilly.
To be honest, if he gets in the top 20, he'll be favourite to take the title, full stop. We've got some sprint days coming up, and if the weather stays as grisly as it is, and Peter Sagan is likely to cope very well. King there is our leader, as you've just seen. The only rider, in fact, to go under the 11-minute mark. Everybody else, including the main players who will be gunning for the title late on, have come late to the party. This is Magnus Cort Nielsen. This is a very strong run as well. It'll be outside of the top 40s, I imagine, but use it as a benchmark, if you will, by which we will measure Peter Sagan. Magnus Cort Nielsen, strong rider, often thrives in grisly conditions, but when you factor in a time trial as well, it's a hard thing to master as he crosses the line, and 47 seconds in arrears of the best time so far. One man who was very determined was Sepp van Mark. Josh Sutherland as well produced a remarkable performance as well to open his account essentially for this race. There'll be others out there, I think, who are in danger of being caught, and this is one man, Laurens de Vries. If he takes it easy, well, with a 2-minute margin, he's unlikely to be caught, but there we are. You can ignore the intermediate time checks. They look slightly dodgy at the moment. I don't think de Vries is 1 second down overall, but I think as it stands right now, in the GC, I should say, as opposed to the today's stage, this is one of the corners that have been foxing a few out there. In fact, Tony Martin took a tumble, so did Niels Pollitt. And the best of the best of the Germans, Josh Sutherland, doing a stellar job out there. As far as the top 10 is concerned, it was nailed down early on, and so it's about how those of the late runners, where we find most of our general classification contenders late on. This is the sketchy corner that caught out so many, and this particular camera on this particular motorcycle has had a bit of water inundation, as you can see. But Peter Sagan is, well, he's wrestling as best he can throughout these appalling conditions, Brian. It's a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, certainly is. He's always entertaining as the current world champion and leader of this race so far after his stage win yesterday. But Stephen Kung looks as if he'll be taking that leader's jersey into tomorrow's stage for BMC. But Tom Dumoulin has to be happy with this, and because Tom Dumoulin's sort of rider, they're looking more for the overall victory. Can climb well. Soren Kragh Andersen, even Yves Lampaert in 6th place at the moment. Tim Wellens, previous winner of this race, a good performance today, only losing 17 seconds on Stephen Kung. So they're the sort of riders that have done well today, limiting losses in the time trial and looking at overall victory next Sunday.
Reinders comes home again with a big deficit, getting on for a minute down, 53 seconds adrift of the best pace today. It's worth comparing what Yash Sutlin has done with those who've come afterwards. I'm just wondering whether Sutlin might be entering the minds of those who are minded to have a wager in this race. The youngster for Movistar looking very, very strong. We'll see how he functions when we get to some of the rolling stuff, but he's been riding very well on the road and has done a great job late on in the time trial amongst those who can feature when it does get tough. There's some big inclines to come in this race, not necessarily in terms of altitude gain, but certainly in terms of percentage and test.
It's definitely a race of two halves. Apart from the time trial, the first 3 stages are predominantly kind of sprint stages, and then we could get very hilly stages. But it's not hilly when we think of the Alps, the Pyrenees. These are short, sharp climbs. If we think of Amstel Gold, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and the Tour of Flanders, that's the sort of hills we're talking about. So it's kind of traditional over the last few years in this race, and it always produces a kind of strong rider that's kind of type of classics rider, and exactly what we're seeing on the screens at the moment. This is sort of rider that this Eneco, I was going to say Eneco Tour, BinckBank Tour, former Eneco Tour, produces winners like Peter Sagan.
Here's Phil Bauhaus, and a strong finish by him as well. This is very, very good from the German youngster. They seem to have found a real crop of great talent, and Phil Bauhaus proved yesterday that he's not only decent out as a road racer, but as a sprinter as well. And his time trialing today, well, you probably would be a little bit disappointed, but his spittle-laced chin here tells you the effort that he's actually put in, and for that we thank him. 79th place along the way today, sort of a marker, I think you might say, but possibly one of doom. Laurens de Vries is the next man home if Peter Sagan doesn't catch him, and right now we're catching our breath watching him.
Yeah, we certainly are. The conditions consistent, which is maybe a good thing, that you don't take the risks. And Peter Sagan, one of the best bike handlers in the peloton, so he'll be again wanting to try and get the best possible time. Good effort for this man yesterday. Got in the breakaway, took all the bonus seconds in the golden kilometre, which gave him a longer lie this morning, but meant he was in the worst conditions in today's time trial.
Gosh. Well, they moderated the conditions just to allow, I think, Yash Sutlin to have a decent run, and they've got bad again. So it's hampering the late runners, the very, very late runners. It's the eternal inconsistent occasionally. There's nothing you can do about the weather, Brian, and when it has this variable nature, which you've got today, it makes it fascinating for us, but it must be so frustrating for the riders.
That has to be, and with it, if it was a prologue, then they would have, some of the riders would have a choice. Obviously, all the teams would have to, somebody would have to go off in the wetter conditions, but nobody can predict the weather, not even the weathermen. So it's very difficult to decide, and over this time trial today, the decider was yesterday. It's where you finished in that stage yesterday to determine where you're going to start today.
Laurens de Vries, it's going to be in the 70s, isn't it, and possibly worse by the time he comes to the line. And just look at the time, Stephen Kung time. It was a good time. Let's not beat about the bush, but the likes of Jos van Emden, who went the wrong way. He went down the exit lane for the support cars, and I think he was on potentially a winning drive then, but it didn't happen for him. Laurens de Vries way down, 119th home 119th best on the day. Couldn't really describe it as best, but this man may well be by the time we reach the end of this race. Peter Sagan, last man on course, and Sports are doing a great job of staying close to him at the moment. Don't cut him on the inside. He hasn't found the driest part of the road, but that's because he's quite happy with his contact patch, and indeed how he's taking these curves. Let's see how much respect he gives the next one, which is coming up right now. He seems to know the course extraordinarily well. He's cutting all the apexes as you would even in the dry. This is a motivated man.
I think so, and I think a reasonably good ride now, because he's 2 minutes at deficit to De Vries in front of him, and it looks as if he's going to be finishing fairly quickly.
Wow, Peter Sagan coming in, and this is as brave and a gutsy performance as you're likely to see. This is outstanding. Peter Sagan, in these conditions, we remind you, it's been wet all day, but nothing like this. And he's going to get himself, what, top 20 spot? But more important than that, this is a huge grab. 17th place today at 11:23. Is anything going to stop this man in this race from becoming the title winner of the first BinckBank? He's looking good, Brian.
Yep, 25 seconds lost to Stefan Kung, which will mean that he'll be 15 seconds off him in the overall, which isn't bad, considering we've got 2 sprint stages coming up. He's very capable of getting bonuses there, and then we go into the climbs, the classics days, and he's well suited to these type of races as well.
Well, don't forget the bonuses that come along as well. They'll be potentially hunting down the golden kilometre, where we have 3 sprints locked together late on in the next 2 days, where the fast men will be able to find plenty of time. Peter Sagan, you know, he may well be given to going for some of those. Certainly the 10-second bonus at the finish line that gave him the lead in this race. He's lost the lead overall today, Brian, but don't be surprised if he regains it in the next couple of days, and certainly towards the end of this race.
Well, he's kept himself in the top 10,
yep.
Which is the good thing. But the winner of today's stage is
Stefan Kung, doing it for Switzerland and BMC, the only rider to come in under the 11-minute mark. Had the advantage of going early, but there was lots of time trialists who went out early as well, and Kung had the beating of them. Very, very accomplished ride by the Swiss. And, well, quite frankly, he may well be a contender late on. He's not that bad when we come to rolling terrain. Is he the equal of the likes of Peter Sagan, though, and others that will hope to regain time when it gets lumpy this race?
It's going to be interesting. It's an interesting day today, but I think when we look at the results here, that we had most of the best time trialists off early in kind of drier conditions, and I think this would have been the result. Okay, some late riders would have had maybe faster times, but I think these are the best time trialists we had in today's event: Kung, Bodnar, Dumoulin.
Well, you just saw Tom Dumoulin, Vasily Bodnar, runner-up on the day, and this man has had the beating of everybody. Stefan Kung. Look at that. Rock and roll of the head. I don't think at that point he would have been aware that this race day was to belong to him.
And he'd have a day of sitting in a Chesterfield's chair reading a book.
Indeed. Reading a book, having a slice of cake. Just my kind of training, Brian. Thanks for your company, by the way, today. We look forward to your company tomorrow. What have we got, Brian?
If it's not even wet enough.
No, it's not. Where's the water in the log slide?
Nobody's been in it because they don't want to get wet.
I would have thought it was an ideal place for a post-race warm down. Brian, where are we heading tomorrow?
We are heading. We're staying in Holland tomorrow, and heading over towards into Ardouille in Belgium, where we predominantly see a sprint finish. Tom Bonnen has won it in the past there. Grijpo's won it again. So we start on the coast and head in towards inland to Ardouille in a fairly flattish stage.
There we are. Kung is the king today. Good lad. Looks like he's just waking up to the fact. Yes, tomorrow we head from Blankenberg, where they make the blankets.
Stefan, that was a very
down to,
long
oh, no,
day
here he
in the
is.
hot seat, right?
Yeah.